The Grand Assembly Hall stretched so far that the distant walls disappeared into artificial haze. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood at the center of a circular platform, surrounded by ascending tiers that reached toward a domed ceiling 300 meters above. Each tier held representatives from different worlds, different species, different empires that had existed long before humans discovered fire. 847 civilizations. While watching the lone human with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt, Marcus kept his hands relaxed at his sides, his breathing steady. Beside him stood Commander Lisa Torres and Dr. James Okonkwo, the only other humans in a chamber designed to hold 10,000 beings. The translation matrix hummed, converting thousands of languages into a single, coherent stream of meaning. But the humans had not spoken a word in 47 minutes. "Hi, Chancellor." Vorn of the Crithian Empire rose from the highest tier. His crystalline body refracted light into sharp rainbows that cut across the chamber floor. When he spoke, his voice resonated through the hall without need for amplification. "Ambassador Webb, you stand before the Galactic Council to answer for your species' unauthorized actions. For 3 standard cycles, we have requested explanation. You have been summoned to account for Earth's military expansion in contested space. You will speak now." Marcus said nothing. His dark eyes tracked across the tiers, noting which species leaned forward with interest and which leaned back with satisfaction. He had studied them all, memorized their histories, understood their motivations. Knowledge was humanity's first weapon. "Counselor." Thrain of the Velkan hierarchy clicked her mandibles in a sharp rhythm that translated as frustration. Her insectoid form shifted on her seat, compound eyes glittering. "Your silence shows contempt for this body. We offer you opportunity to defend your actions before judgment is rendered. Speak or accept the consequences of defiance." Still, Marcus remained silent. Lisa and James stood equally quiet, their faces calm despite the weight of hundreds of alien gazes. In Marcus's ear, a microscopic receiver transmitted a single repeating message from Earth. The message had 3 words: "Hold the line." A holographic display materialized above the central platform, showing Earth's star system in detail. Red markers highlighted 43 military vessels in positions around the outer planets and asteroid belt. Ships that had appeared over the past 8 months. Ships built in secret. Ships that violated at least a dozen council regulations about new species and military development. A representative from the Dorvian Collective, a species that resembled ambulatory fungal networks, spoke with a voice like rustling leaves. "The evidence is clear. Humanity was welcomed into council space as a developing civilization. You were granted protection, trade rights, and cultural exchange. In return, you agreed to military limitations appropriate for newly contacted species. These vessels represent a violation of sacred trust." Marcus watched the display rotate, showing every angle of Earth's defensive positions. The Council had good intelligence. Not perfect, but good. They knew about the obvious ships, the ones meant to be discovered. They had no idea about the rest. Another voice, this one from a species Marcus recognized as the Heptari Union. "Perhaps they do not understand the severity. Let me explain in simple terms for our primitive friends. 12 council members have already filed territorial claims on the Sol system. Your world will be divided among civilizations capable of proper stewardship. This is decided. Your only choice now is whether this transition happens peacefully or through force." A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Several species nodded or made equivalent gestures. This was clearly planned, coordinated. Marcus had suspected as much. 2 years of diplomatic negotiations, of careful words and patient discussion, all leading to this moment. The Council had never intended to treat Earth as an equal. They had been waiting for an excuse to absorb humanity's resources, claim Earth's star system, and relegate humans to the status of protected primitives on reservation worlds. Marcus had known this for 3 months. That was when Earth's intelligence services had intercepted the communications. Secret meetings. Division agreements. Plans to present the annexation as a benevolent protection arrangement. The Council's diplomatic overtures had been a facade from the beginning. High Chancellor Vorn's crystalline form brightened. demanding attention. Humanity stands in contempt of this council. By the authority vested in this body by 10,000 years of civilized governance, I declare Earth's star system under protective custody. All human populations will be relocated to designated reserve worlds for your own safety and development. Council fleets will begin transition operations within 1 standard week. This session is concluded. The pronouncement echoed through the chamber. Several species erupted in approving sounds. Others simply watched, curious how the humans would react to their civilization's effective ending. Marcus finally moved. He lifted his left hand slowly and touched his wrist device with his right. "Show them, Lisa." Commander Torres pressed a control on her own device. Every holographic display in the Grand Assembly Hall flickered. The images of Earth's defensive positions vanished. The displays went dark for exactly 3 seconds. Then they rebooted with new information. Financial records scrolled across hundreds of screens. Communication logs appeared on others. Military deployment orders materialized on the largest displays. Every piece of evidence that Earth's intelligence services had gathered over 3 months, now exposed for the entire council to see, the chamber erupted in shocked sounds from 100 different species. Representatives scrambled to their personal devices, trying to shut down the displays, trying to regain control of their own systems. Nothing worked. The council's entire network had been compromised. High Chancellor Vorn's crystalline form dimmed, then blazed with fury. "What is this? How dare you infiltrate council systems?" Marcus spoke for the first time, his voice calm and clear. "For 2 years, we talked. We negotiated in good faith. We believed in the principles you claim to represent. We trusted that the Galactic Council valued truth and cooperation." He gestured at the displays showing the secret plans to divide Earth. That trust was misplaced. The evidence continued scrolling. Encrypted messages between council members discussing which species would claim which parts of the Sol system. Strategic assessments of Earth's population and how to manage the relocation. Economic projections for exploiting Earth's resources. Financial arrangements for the species that would benefit from humanity's displacement. Dr. Okonkwo stepped forward, his voice carrying across the chaos. "You made a critical error. You assumed that because humanity is young, we must be naive. You thought that because we are new to your council, we would be easy to manipulate. You were wrong." The display shifted again, showing something that made several council members freeze. Ship movements, fleet positions, defense grid access codes, security protocols. In the 47 minutes that the humans had stood silent, while the council congratulated itself on intimidating the primitive species, Earth's Cyber Warfare Division had penetrated every major military network in council space, Marcus continued, his tone never rising but carrying absolute certainty. "We came here today knowing what you planned. We stood silent while you revealed your true nature. Now you understand what humanity does when talking stops working." Counselor Thrane's mandibles clicked rapidly. "You threaten this council? You are one world against thousands. Seize them immediately. Detain the human delegation." Security forces began moving down the tiers toward the central platform. Armored beings from a dozen different species, all converging on the 3 humans. Marcus did not move, did not look concerned, did not reach for any weapon, would not do that, he said quietly. The lights in the Grand Assembly Hall died. Emergency systems failed to activate. Life support indicators flickered across every species' personal displays, showing critical malfunctions. Backup power refused to engage. The massive ceremonial doors, each weighing several tons, remained sealed. In the darkness, 847 species sat in complete silence. Then every personal communication device in the chamber activated simultaneously, displaying a message in each species' native language. The message was simple. Humanity is no longer talking. That should concern you. Emergency bioluminescence from various species provided dim, scattered light. In that eerie glow, Marcus Webb remained standing calmly at the center platform, flanked by his 2 fellow humans. 3 people who had just demonstrated that Earth was neither primitive nor helpless. High Chancellor Vorn's voice cut through the darkness. no longer resonant and commanding, but uncertain. "What have you done?" Marcus smiled, though few could see it in the dim light. "We stopped talking. Hi, Chancellor. Now you will listen."
The emergency.
Bioluminescence cast strange shadows across the Grand Assembly Hall. Species that generated their own light glowed softly in the darkness, while others fumbled with personal devices that no longer responded to commands. 847 civilizations sat trapped in their own headquarters, unable to contact their fleets, unable to override the lockdown, unable to do anything except wait. Marcus Webb remained at the center platform. His posture relaxed, despite having just committed what many Seas would consider an act of war. Commander Torres and Dr. Okonkwo stood beside him, equally calm. In the darkness, their humanity seemed more pronounced. They were predators comfortable in conditions that made others panic. A Velkan security officer reached the platform first, his weapon raised. Before he could speak, his communication implant activated with a burst of feedback that made him stumble. Similar reactions rippled through security forces across the chamber. Their neural links, their weapon systems, their coordination networks, all compromised. "Stand down," Marcus said to the security officer. "Your weapon is currently offline. Your backup systems are offline. Your emergency protocols are offline. You are not in danger, but you are also not in control. Please return to your position." The officer hesitated, then slowly backed away. What choice did he have? High Chancellor Vorn's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "This is an unprecedented violation. You hold the entire council hostage. Explain yourself immediately." "Not hostage," Marcus corrected. "Captive audience, there is a difference. Hostages are leverage. You are simply going to sit and listen for the first time since Earth joined this council." Lights gradually returned, but not the council's elegant ambient illumination. Harsh white. Light flooded from emergency systems now under human control. Every exit displayed red-locked status. Every communication channel showed as blocked. The transformation was complete. The most powerful governing body in the galaxy had become a prison for its own members. "Lisa?" Torres manipulated her wrist device, and the holographic displays throughout the chamber activated again. This time, they showed Earth, but not the primitive world the Council remembered from initial contact reports. This Earth bristled with defensive installations. Massive orbital platforms circled in synchronized patterns. Its construction facilities dotted the Lagrange points between Earth and its moon. Weapons satellites formed a grid across near-Earth space. "It's impossible," a Dorvian representative breathed. "Construction of this magnitude requires decades. Our last survey was only 3 months ago. We detected nothing." Dr. Okonkwo smiled slightly. "You detected exactly what we wanted you to detect. While your intelligence services watched our civilian shipyards build cargo vessels, our actual military construction proceeded in locations you never thought to scan." The displays zoomed out, showing the entire Sol system. Mars hosted additional construction facilities. The asteroid belt had been partially converted into a resource network feeding the military buildup. Even Jupiter's moon showed signs of human activity. Earth had not been idle during 2 years of diplomatic negotiations. A representative from the Manther Assembly, a species known for strategic thinking, spoke carefully. "This level of organization requires planning, extensive planning. You knew our intentions before we revealed them. 3 months ago, we intercepted your communications," Marcus confirmed. "The discussions about dividing our world, plans to relocate our people, the economic projections for exploiting our resources. We learned that every diplomatic overture, every treaty negotiation, every cultural exchange was a performance. You never intended to treat humanity as equals." Counselor Thrane's compound eyes reflected the harsh light in disturbing patterns. "You claim moral outrage, yet you infiltrate our networks. You sabotage our systems. You hold us prisoner. How? Is this better than what you accuse us of planning?" "We are not planning," Marcus replied. "We are demonstrating. There is a difference between planning to absorb a civilization and showing that civilization is not as helpless as you assumed. The displays shifted to show tactical information that made several military commanders in the chamber lean forward with alarm. 30 Council fleets had been converging on human space, positioned to enforce the annexation. The displays updated in real time as each fleet lost navigation control, weapons targeting, and secure communications. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Simply disabled. For 6 months, we have been inside your networks, Lisa explained. Every major military system within 20 light-years of Earth, every defense platform, every command ship, every strategic installation, we could have struck first. We could have destroyed your fleets before they reached our space. We chose not to. That restraint should tell you something about human intentions. High Chancellor Vorn descended from his tier, his crystalline form refracting light in sharp angles as he approached the platform. You speak of restraint while demonstrating the capacity for devastating attack? You infiltrate our most secure systems while claiming peaceful intentions? Your words and actions contradict each other. Our actions demonstrate capability, Marcus countered. Our restraint demonstrates character. You plan to take our world by force disguised as protection? You responded by proving force would not work. We want you to understand a simple truth. Humanity cannot be absorbed, relocated, or managed. We can only be partnered with or opposed. We prefer partnership. Dr. Okonkwo brought up new information on the displays. Deep space sensor data from the galactic rim. Massive structures moving through the void between galaxies. Signals that suggested technology far beyond anything the Council possessed. The readouts made several ancient species in the chamber fall silent. We found your secret, James said quietly. The real reason the Council exists? The actual threat you have been hiding from younger civilizations? The chamber temperature seemed to drop. Species that knew the truth. The truly ancient ones who had helped found the Council millennia ago exchanged worried glances. High Chancellor Vorn's luminescence dimmed significantly. You had no authorization to access those archives, Vorn said, his voice strained. We had no authorization to access any of your systems, Marcus replied. Yet, here we are. It's the unnamed enemy. 17 civilizations destroyed over 5 million years. You have been tracking them for 3 centuries. Your projections suggested they would return in 40 years. That is why you wanted Earth. Not for our resources, not for our territory. You wanted to position humanity as a buffer, expendable colonies to slow the enemy while you prepared your core worlds. The accusation hung in the air. No one denied it. The silence was confirmation enough. A younger species, the Tiverian Unity, spoke up. Ambassador Reln's voice carried anger. Is this true? The Council planned to sacrifice newer civilizations. Vorn did not answer directly. The unnamed enemy is an existential threat. Difficult decisions must be made for the greater good. Newer species lack the historical perspective to understand strategic necessity. Strategic necessity, Marcus repeated. Interesting phrase for condemning billions to death. Here is Earth's perspective. We will fight your enemy. We will stand with the galaxy. But we will do it as equals, not as disposable shields. The Council either reforms immediately, or humanity begins making alternative arrangements. Councillor Thrane's mandibles clicked in disbelief. You cannot dictate terms to this body. The established order has maintained galactic peace for 10,000 years. The established order was about to throw away 4 billion human lives. Lisa interjected, her voice cold. That order ends today. The lights died again, plunging the chamber into darkness. When they returned, every display showed the same information. Council military vessels across the galaxy, while simultaneously disabled. Not just near Earth. Everywhere. The scope of the infiltration became clear. Humanity had not simply hacked local defenses. They had compromised the entire Council infrastructure. Every network, every system, every supposedly secure military installation across hundreds of worlds. Marcus let the implications sink in before speaking again. For 72 hours, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council. Our credentials are revoked. Our treaties are suspended. Our obligations are terminated. He paused, which means we are not bound by Council law, not bound by your treaties, not bound by your rules of engagement. "This is war," General Cade roared from his tier. The military commander's species resembled armored bears, and his fury was palpable even across the chamber. "No," Marcus said calmly. "This is renegotiation. At the end of 72 hours, the Council will vote on humanity's proposal. Full voting rights for Earth. Transparent disclosure of strategic threats, restructuring of the hierarchy that values ancient civilizations over new ones, equal representation for all species." High Chancellor Vorn's form flickered between bright and dim, a sign of extreme agitation. "And if we refuse?" Marcus met his gaze without flinching. "Then you face the unnamed enemy without Earth's help. And given what we accomplished in 2 years while talking to you, imagine what we might accomplish in 40 years if we are not." The chamber doors unlocked with a heavy clang. The humans walked toward the exit without hurry, without fear, without looking back. 847 species watched them go. Not one tried to stop them. As the humans departed, a message appeared on every display in the chamber. Not a threat, not a demand. It's just a simple countdown timer. 71 hours, 59 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. The Grand Assembly Hall erupted in chaos. Representatives screamed accusations at each other, ancient species who knew about the unnamed enemy argued with younger civilizations who felt betrayed by the secrecy. Military commanders demanded immediate retaliation. Diplomatic advisors urged caution. The Unified Council fractured along 1,000 different fault lines. High Chancellor Vorn stood at the center of the maelstrom, watching the countdown timer tick away. For 10,000 years, the Council had maintained order through tradition, hierarchy, and overwhelming force. In 3 hours, 3 humans had shattered that order completely. The true horror was not what humanity had done. It was what they had chosen not to do. Every disabled fleet could have been destroyed. Every compromised network could have been erased. Every council world could have been left defenseless. The restraint was more terrifying than the capability. It suggested humanity understood power in ways the council had. Forgotten Vorn made a decision that would change galactic history. He activated his personal emergency channel, bypassing the compromised council networks entirely. The message went to the inner circle, the 7 oldest species who truly governed from the shadows. "We need an emergency session," he transmitted. "Not about the humans, about ourselves. We have made a critical error in judgment." As representatives filed out of the assembly hall, still arguing and planning and threatening, Vorn remained behind. He looked at the countdown timer. 71 hours, 52 minutes remaining. Somewhere, 3 humans were waiting to see what the galaxy would choose. Partnership or conflict. Cooperation or war. Evolution or extinction. For the first time in his 300-year lifespan, High Chancellor Vorn felt something he had not experienced since youth. Genuine fear. Not of humanity's weapons or networks or infiltration capabilities. Fear of what it meant that such a young species had already surpassed the Council in the one skill that mattered most, the ability to adapt. Survive and thrive in a hostile universe. The countdown continued. The galaxy held its breath. The inner circle gathered in a chamber that existed in no official records. 7 species, the true architects of the Galactic Council, meeting in a facility protected by technology older than most civilizations. Quantum encryption, biological verification systems, defenses designed to be absolutely impenetrable. High Chancellor Vorn appeared as a holographic projection, his crystalline form transmitted from his personal vessel. Around him materialized 6 other figures, each representing civilizations that had existed for hundreds of thousands of years. These were the species that survived the last encounter. With the unnamed enemy, these were the founders who built the Council. From the ashes of 17 dead civilizations, Matriarch Kelva, of the first ones, spoke first. Her species resembled flowing energy given temporary form, ancient beyond measure. "We are secure. The humans cannot penetrate this location. Speak freely." Before anyone could respond, the chamber's main display activated on its own. Marcus Webb's face appeared, his expression pleasant. "Good evening, Matriarch." "High Chancellor." "Members of the Inner Circle, I apologize for the intrusion. 7 of the galaxy's most powerful beings froze in shock. Kelva's energy form flickered wildly. Impossible. This chamber is isolated from all networks, it was Marcus agreed. For about 3 months, we have been listening to your private deliberations since we discovered the unnamed enemy files. Your discussions about using newer civilizations as buffer zones were particularly informative. He leaned forward slightly. Just a reminder. 70 hours, 18 minutes remaining. The display cut to black. The 7 members of the inner circle stared at the empty screen in silence. Archon Thelm, whose species resembled living stone, spoke slowly. They have been watching us, listening, for months. They have been inside everything, Vorn confirmed. Every network, every system, every secure facility we possess. The question now is not how they achieved this, but what we do about it. Across the galaxy, the 72-hour countdown became a catalyst for transformation. On Earth, cities erupted in celebration and fear. News networks broadcast continuous coverage as humanity's leaders explained what had happened. The planet that had been talking to the Council for 2 years, carefully maintaining diplomatic protocols, had stopped talking and started demonstrating in Geneva. Dr. Okonkwo supervised the network infiltration maintenance from a facility that had not existed 6 months ago. Thousands of human programmers, engineers, and strategists worked around the clock. They monitored Council communications, tracked military movements, maintained control over compromised systems. How long can we hold this? A young technician asked James. As long as necessary, he replied. The Council's technology is more advanced, but their security philosophy is outdated. They built systems assuming cooperation and trust. We built our infiltration assuming hostility and deception. That difference matters. At the Council's military headquarters on Avalon Station, General Cade assembled his commanders. The station orbited Sigma Draconis, a fortress designed to coordinate the defense of 300 worlds. Now, it sat partially disabled, a reminder of human capability. We have ships, the humans have not compromised, Cade explained, his armored form pacing before a tactical display. Older vessels with isolated systems, approximately 200 craft across 12 different fleets. Enough to strike Earth's orbital installations and force them back to negotiation. A Manther tactical officer raised a concern. Their defensive grid is more extensive than initial reports suggested. A strike force would take casualties. Acceptable casualties, Cade replied. We must demonstrate Council authority. Show the other species that defiance has consequences. The strike force assembled quietly, using non-networked communication systems. 211 ships from various species, all volunteers. All willing to risk human retaliation to restore Council dominance. They jumped to hyperspace, targeting the Sol system, 48. Hours remained on the countdown. The Council fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Sensors immediately detected the defensive installations. Orbital platforms around Earth, weapons satellites, in synchronized patterns. The construction facilities at the Lagrange points. Everything the Council knew about from intelligence reports, General Cade commanded from his flagship. A Crithian battlecruiser with systems that predated network integration. All ships, battle formation. Prepare to engage defensive platforms on my mark. Before he could give the order, a communication channel opened. Commander Lisa Torres appeared on every ship's display simultaneously. Despite the fleet's communications being isolated from the Council network, General Cade, she said calmly, your fleet is very brave to come here. But look at your tactical displays. Really look. The Council ship's sensors updated with new information. Behind Jupiter's moons, energy signatures emerged. 50 additional human vessels materialized, larger and more advanced than anything in the intelligence files. Not defensive platforms. Assault carriers designed for offensive operations, Lisa continued, her voice carrying absolute certainty. You could attack our orbital installations. You might even damage Earth's surface defenses. But we have designated targets throughout Council space, every shipyard within 50 light-years, every supply depot, every military installation. If Earth falls, your entire military infrastructure comes down with us. We are prepared to make that trade. Are you? Cade looked at his tactical display. Red markers appeared on hundreds of Council facilities. Weapons were already locked on target, waiting for authorization. The humans had not been bluffing. They could cripple the Council's military capacity for decades. This is mutual annihilation, Cade transmitted back. No, Lisa replied. This is deterrence. You attack us, we attack you. Both sides lose. Or you return to Council space and wait for the 72 hours to expire. One side wins, the other learns to adapt. Your choice, General. The Council fleet held position for 18 minutes. Cade consulted with his commanders, ran probability scenarios, calculated acceptable losses. Every analysis reached the same conclusion: attacking Earth would accomplish nothing except triggering a war that would devastate both sides. The fleet jumped back to hyperspace without firing a shot. On Earth, Lisa allowed herself a small smile. Stand down from alert status. They made the smart choice. 40 hours remained on the countdown, in a secure diplomatic facility on the neutral world of Tyvar Prime. Something unexpected happened. 18 species requested a covert meeting with human representatives. Not the powerful ancient civilizations, but mid-tier Council members. Worlds that had joined the Council within the last million years. Civilizations that still remembered what it meant to be treated as lesser. Marcus traveled to the meeting with minimal security. A calculated risk that paid off when he entered the chamber and found no weapons, no hostiles. Only desperate hope. Ambassador Reln of the Tavirian Unity spoke for the group. We have been waiting for this. For centuries, someone to challenge the hierarchy. Someone to prove it could be done. Could have challenged it yourselves, Marcus pointed out. We lacked the strength and courage, Reln admitted. The ancient species control all military power, all strategic resources, all political authority. Resistance seemed futile, but you showed it as possible. If you truly reform the Council, you will have allies. The coalition formed that day. 18 species pledging support for humanity's proposal. Not enough to guarantee victory, but enough to matter. The Council's internal divisions became clear. Ancient civilizations versus younger ones. Traditional hierarchy. Y versus egalitarian reform. The old order versus necessary change. 20-4 hours remained on the countdown. The inner circle convened again. It's time physically gathering on Vorn's vessel. No holograms. No network connections. No possibility of human surveillance. They hoped. Matriarch Kelva spoke with the weight of millions of years. We must decide. Agree to their terms or face consequences that could shatter the Council entirely. Agreeing is surrender, Archon Thelm argued. We show weakness. Other species will make similar demands. The hierarchy collapses. The hierarchy is already collapsing, Vorn countered. 18 species have allied with humanity openly. Dozens more support them privately. Our military demonstrated inability to enforce our will. What hierarchy remains? The debate continued for hours. Arguments about tradition versus pragmatism, pride versus survival. The glory of ancient civilizations versus the reality of current weakness. Then the monitoring stations detected something that ended all debate. Deep space sensors at the galactic rim picked up anomalous readings. The unnamed enemy, expected to arrive in 40 years, had split their forces. An advanced fleet was already in Council space, moving toward core worlds. Estimated arrival time, 14 months. The sensor data appeared on every display in the chamber. 7 ancient beings stared at information that should have been impossible. The enemy was not 40 years away. They were already here. Vorn accessed a secure channel to Earth. Marcus Webb answered immediately, his expression showing he had already seen the data. He knew Vorn accused. We detected the anomaly 6 hours ago, Marcus confirmed. Our deep space monitoring is more extensive than yours. We were waiting to see if you would find it independently, the vote Vorn said quietly. It will pass. Full Council reformation. Everything humanity demanded, but we need your help with that. He gestured at the enemy fleet data. Marcus nodded slowly. 14 months to prepare. Not much time? Do we face it together as equals, or waste time fighting each other? The countdown showed 18 hours remaining. Vorn made a decision that would define galactic history. The vote will occur in 12 hours. It will pass unanimously. I will ensure it. His crystalline form pulsed with determination. Now tell me, humanity has plans for defending against that fleet. Marcus's expression shifted to something predatory. Hi, Chancellor. We have been planning for hostile alien contact since we first looked at the stars and wondered what might be out there. We write scenarios. We train soldiers. We build weapons for threats we hope never materialize. We are very, very good at preparing for war. Lisa Torres joined the transmission. With your permission, we would like to begin integrating human tactical doctrine into Council military forces immediately. We need to train your crews, retrofit your ships, adapt your strategies. 14 months is not much time. Dr. Okonkwo appeared as well, and we need complete access to your archives on the unnamed enemy. Everything you know about their capabilities, technology, previous battles, no more secrets. The Inner Circle members looked at each other. They were being given orders by a species that had been part of the Council for only 2 years. By humans who had held the entire galactic government hostage 3 days ago, but the approaching enemy fleet did not care about pride or tradition. Matriarch Kelva spoke for all of them. Granted. All information. Full cooperation. Prepare our defenses. The countdown stopped at 12 hours. The vote would be a formality. Fear had accomplished what 72 hours of pressure could not. As the transmission ended, Vorn remained alone on his vessel's bridge. He looked at the sensor data showing the enemy fleet. Then he looked at the file on humanity, a species only 2,000 years advanced, already infiltrating galactic networks, already forcing Council reformation, already preparing to fight an enemy that destroyed 17 ancient civilizations. He made a note in his personal log. Today, the galaxy learned that the most dangerous species is not the one that never talks. It is the one that stops talking and starts acting. Humanity stopped talking to us. Soon they will stop talking to the enemy. I pity the enemy for what comes next. 12 hours later, the Galactic Council voted. The Reformation passed with no opposition. Humanity gained full voting rights. Transparency requirements were implemented. The hierarchical structure dissolved into equal representation. The galaxy changed forever. Not through slow evolution, but through abrupt revolution, and in deep space. The unnamed enemy continued approaching, unaware they were about to encounter something 17 previous civilizations never possessed. Humanity's desperate, adaptable, relentless capacity for survival. The Avalon Station transformed over 8 months into something it was never designed to be. The Council's military headquarters, built to coordinate defensive operations, hosted intensive combat training that shocked 1,000-year veterans. In the main tactical theater, Commander Lisa Torres stood before holographic displays showing Council fleet formations, and her assessment was blunt. This is ceremonial, beautiful, symmetric, completely ineffective against an enemy that does not care about your traditions. She manipulated the display, scattering the neat formations into aggressive clusters. This is how humans fight when we are serious about surviving. General Cade watched his fleets reorganize into patterns that looked chaotic to his trained eye. You want us to abandon 3,000 years of tactical doctrine. I want you to survive the next 14 months, Lisa replied. Your doctrine assumes opponents who value their own survival equally. The unnamed enemy has never retreated, never negotiated, never shown self-preservation instinct. They fight to annihilate. You need to fight the same way. Around the theater, representatives from 40 species observed the training. Some embraced the new tactics eagerly. Others resisted, clinging to traditional approaches. The younger civilizations adapted fastest. Those who still remembered what it meant to fight for existence rather than maintain peace. Velkan Admiral voiced the concern many felt. These tactics are aggressive, reckless. We will take heavy casualties. Yes, Lisa agreed without hesitation. but you will take those casualties while advancing and destroying enemy forces. The alternative is taking casualties while defending and losing anyway. Choose. On Earth, production facilities worked continuously. Orbital shipyards constructed vessels using hybrid human council technology. Manufacturing complexes across 6 continents produced weapons. Systems that combined human innovation with alien knowledge. Dr. Okonkwo coordinated the largest engineering project in human history from Geneva headquarters. With 13 months remaining, James reported to the Council's Technology Commission. Our analysis suggests we can produce 20,000 drone vessels, retrofit 3,000 existing Council ships with upgraded weapons, deploy defensive platforms across 50 strategic locations. But we need full cooperation from Council manufacturing worlds. The Technology Commission included species whose civilizations were millions of years old, now taking direction from a human whose species had discovered radio waves only 2 centuries ago. The irony was not lost on anyone. Matriarch Kelva spoke with her energy form flickering thoughtfully. Your species has existed for a cosmological instant. Yet you propose projects that should take decades and promise completion in months. Explain this capability, James smiled. Desperation is an excellent motivator. Humanity has spent its entire existence facing extinction threats, environmental collapse, nuclear war, asteroid impacts, pandemics. We learn to move fast or die. That cultural trait translates well to current circumstances. In the Council's central archives, human researchers accessed files that had been sealed for millennia. The unnamed enemy's complete history appeared in fragments across thousands of documents. 17 civilizations destroyed. 5 million years of terror. Every extinction followed identical patterns. Marcus Webb studied the records with increasing concern. The destroyed civilizations included some remarkably advanced cultures. The Vayaran Imperium had possessed technology that made current council systems look primitive. They lasted 6 months against the enemy. The Kelthran Federation had unified 200 worlds. Under a single military command, they were erased in 8 months. They are learning from each encounter, Marcus noted during a strategic session with the Inner Circle. Every civilization they destroy teaches them new tactics. By the 17th victim, they had adapted to every defense, every strategy, every weapon system that had been tried. And we are the 18th target, Vorn said quietly. What can we possibly do that 17 more advanced civilizations could not? We can be unpredictable, Marcus replied. Every previous civilization fought defensively, tried to protect their worlds, minimize casualties, preserve their cultures. The enemy learned to counter that approach perfectly. He brought up tactical projections. We do the opposite. We fight offensively. We accept losses. We sacrifice positions to gain advantages. We make the enemy adapt to strategies they have never encountered. Counselor Thrane's mandibles clicked slowly. You propose we abandon our worlds? Allow the enemy to take territory? I propose we make our worlds into traps, Marcus corrected. Evacuate populations. Weaponize every planet, every moon, every asteroid. Let the enemy come to us into carefully prepared killing ground. D's. Make them pay for every meter of space they claim. The strategy was controversial. Several species refused to evacuate their homeworlds, declaring they would defend their territory to the last. Others saw the logic and began relocation procedures. 3 border systems underwent complete civilian evacuation. Their populations moved deeper into council space while military engineers transformed the abandoned worlds into massive weapon platforms. On the training stations, council military personnel experienced scenarios designed by human psychologists and tacticians. The simulations were brutal. Ships destroyed in the first minutes. Overwhelming enemy forces. Impossible odds. Most crews accepted defeat gracefully when faced with certain destruction. That was when the human instructors failed them. Graceful defeat is death. A training officer explained to a group of Krithian navigators, the enemy does not accept surrender. They do not take prisoners. They do not show mercy. When you face impossible odds, you do not accept the impossible. You change the parameters. You adapt. You survive. The cultural clash was profound. The Council had spent millennia building a civilization based on cooperation, measured response, diplomatic resolution. Now they trained for total war against an enemy that understood only extermination. Some species could not adapt. Their psychology would not allow the aggressive, survival-focused mentality that humanity embodied. Those species took support roles, logistics and manufacturing positions that did not require combat mindset. Others transformed with frightening speed. The Tavarian unity embraced human tactics completely. Ambassador Realm personally oversaw the retraining of his species' military forces, pushing them to think like humans thought, fight like humans fought, survive like humans survived. 6 months remained until the enemy fleet arrived. The advance. Enemy fleets split into 7 groups, each targeting a different strategic system, not random selections. They chose high population centers, critical military installations, resource production facilities. The enemy's intelligence was perfect, suggesting they had been observing Council space for much longer than anyone realized. An emergency strategic session convened. 7 targets. 346 Council ships available after retrofitting and training. Insufficient forces to defend everything adequately. Choices had to be made. Marcus stared at the tactical display showing 7 approaching enemy groups. We defend all of them. Possible, General Cade stated flatly. The mathematics do not support simultaneous defense of 7 positions. The mathematics assumed conventional deployment, Marcus countered. How many drone vessels can we manufacture in 6 months with full Council production? Lisa checked the manufacturing reports. Approximately 8,000. But they would be minimally armed. Limited AI. Essentially expensive targets. It's perfect, Marcus said. We do not need them to win battles. We need them to be targets while our real ships attack from unexpected vectors. 8,000 drones spread across 7 systems creates the illusion of massive fleet deployment. Dr. Okonkwo added another element. We can also generate false sensor signatures. Make 1 ship appear as 10. Make 100 ships look like 1,000. The enemy has perfect intelligence on our actual capabilities. We need to make them question that intelligence. The plan developed rapidly. Deception on massive scale. Fake fleet concentrations to draw enemy forces into ambush positions. Drone swarms to absorb initial attacks. Stealth ships using Tiverian cloaking technology to strike enemy command vessels. And if everything else failed, tactics so aggressive that the enemy would not have time to adapt. Ambassador Realm contributed resources from 18 allied species, younger civilizations pooling their manufacturing capacity, providing volunteers for dangerous assignments. Committing fully to the desperate strategy, this could fail catastrophically. Matriarch Kelva observed during a final planning review. It will definitely fail if we defend conventionally, Marcus replied. The enemy has beaten conventional defense 17 times. We need to try something they have never encountered. 3 months remained. The training intensified. Council crews ran simulations constantly. Human officers embedded in every major vessel, teaching their specific brand of stubborn survival. The cultural transformation was remarkable. Species that had not fought wars in millennia now practiced combat maneuvers with dedicated intensity. On Earth, crowds gathered in cities worldwide, watching construction progress in real-time broadcasts. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy as a force to be feared. Now they needed to prove they could be a force to save it. The drone production facilities worked at maximum capacity. Thousands of simple vessels equipped with basic weapons and sophisticated electronic warfare systems. Not designed to survive, designed to confuse and distract while real forces maneuvered for kill shots. Marcus received regular reports from intelligence services monitoring the approaching enemy fleet. The 7 groups maintained steady velocity, showing no concern for Council preparations. Why would they? 17 civilizations had prepared. 17 civilizations had failed, but 17 civilizations had not included humanity, 1 month remained when the final piece fell into place. A Manther engineer working with human physicists discovered a weakness in enemy shield technology. Not much, a points-erode 3-second vulnerability when the shields pulsed to recalibrate. Barely enough time to land a shot. Every ship needs to synchronize fire to exploit that window, Lisa explained to the fleet commanders. We get 1 chance per shield pulse. Miss it, and we accomplish nothing. The timing requirements were extreme. Most species could not coordinate that precisely. But humanity had spent centuries developing split-second coordination for everything from sports to space operations. The Council crews trained until the timing became instinctive. 2 weeks remained. High Chancellor Vorn addressed the assembled council one final time before the battle. His crystalline form reflected light across the Grand Assembly Hall, now rebuilt and reorganized along egalitarian principles. We face an enemy that has destroyed 17 civilizations far older and more advanced than most species in this chamber. Statistical analysis suggests we will lose. Probability calculations favor our extinction. Traditional military doctrine offers no path to victory. He paused, his form brightening. So we have abandoned tradition. We have embraced the tactics of our newest member species. We fight as humans fight, desperately, creatively, and with absolute refusal to accept defeat. The assembled species responded with a chorus of affirmative sounds. 847 civilizations. United by common threat and uncommon leadership, Marcus watched from Earth, knowing the next battle would determine whether his species' gambit saved the galaxy or doomed it. To the same fate as 17 previous civilizations, the enemy fleet continued approaching, ignorant that they were about to encounter something unprecedented in 5 million years of conquest, prey that had learned to bite back. The enemy fleet arrived at Tertian System precisely on schedule, emerging from whatever dimensional pathway they used for faster-than-light travel. 14 ships materialized in perfect geometric formation, their organic mechanical hulls flowing through space like predators through water. Sensors across the Council fleet registered the signatures and transmitted the same conclusion to every captain. These vessels exceeded anything in the known technology database. Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, watching the tactical displays update with enemy positions. Around him, the bridge crew represented 5 different species working in coordinated silence. Human tactical officers, Crithian navigation specialists, Velkan weapons coordinators, Tavarian stealth operators, Manther strategic analysts. The diversity was intentional, combining the strengths of multiple civilizations into something greater than any single species could achieve. All ships, Marcus transmitted across the fleet channel. Execute Plan Ragnarok. Show them what happens when the galaxy stops running. The Council fleet did not arrange in defensive formation, did not establish perimeter positions, did not attempt to protect the evacuated worlds. Instead, 346 warships and 8,000 drones surged forward in aggressive wolf-pack clusters. Closing distance with the enemy at maximum velocity, the enemy responded immediately. Weapons fire lanced across space, beams that seemed to unmake matter at the molecular level. The first wave of Council ships, older vessels crewed by volunteers who understood their role, disintegrated under the assault. 17 ships destroyed in the first 90 seconds, but those ships bought time and data. Human analysts processed every enemy weapons discharge, every defensive shimmer, every tactical movement. The information flooded across the fleet network, updating engagement protocols in real time. Enemy shields pulse every 3 seconds, Dr. Okonkwo reported from Earth. His computers processing battlefield data faster than biological minds could comprehend. Vulnerability window confirmed at 0.03 seconds. Transmitting firing solutions now. The second wave of Council ships attacked with precision that would have seemed impossible 6 months ago. Synchronized fire from multiple vessels, all targeting the same enemy ship, all timed to exploit the shield vulnerability. The enemy vessel's defenses flickered. Shields collapsed. Concentrated fire punched through the organic hull that the first enemy ship died. structure fragmenting into debris that glowed with exotic radiation. The enemy fleet responded with increased aggression, breaking formation to engage Council forces at closer range. Exactly as Marcus had predicted. The enemy had overwhelming firepower but limited numbers. Drawing them into close combat negated their standoff advantage. Drone swarms flooded into the battle space. Cheap vessels with sophisticated electronic warfare systems, they broadcast false sensor signatures, jammed enemy targeting, created phantom fleet concentrations. The enemy's perfect intelligence became unreliable as the battlefield. Filled with deception and chaos, Commander Lisa Torres coordinated the stealth fleet from her command ship. 40 vessels equipped with Tyverian cloaking technology maneuvered into position behind the enemy formation, weapons armed and targeting enemy command ships. "All stealth units," she transmitted. "Fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." 40 ships materialized simultaneously, launching kinetic projectiles enhanced with Crithian energy manipulation. The enemy's rear shields, focused on the frontal assault, provided inadequate protection. 3 enemy ships took critical damage, their organic systems rupturing under the unexpected attack. The enemy adapted. The remaining ships shifted formation, creating overlapping defensive coverage. They stopped pursuing individual Council vessels and consolidated into a defensive cluster. The adaptation was rapid and effective, exactly what Marcus had feared and planned for. Phase 2, Marcus ordered. "All ships execute dispersal pattern, Medusa." The Council fleet scattered in seemingly random directions, refusing to provide concentrated targets. Small groups of ships attacked from multiple vectors, never staying in one position long enough for the enemy to focus overwhelming fire. It looked chaotic. It was chaos. Controlled chaos that forced the enemy to react rather than act. The battle settled into brutal attrition. Council ships traded fire with enemy vessels, both sides taking losses. The difference was that every Council ship destroyed bought time for others to land killing shots. Every sacrifice had purpose. Ambassador Realm commanded a wing of Tyverian assault ships, pressing attacks that should have been suicidal, but succeeded through sheer aggressive audacity. His vessel took heavy damage, hull breaching in 3 sections, life support failing. For every civilization they destroyed, Realm transmitted across the fleet channel. For every voice they silenced. For every world they erased, we fight. His damaged ship, along with 6 others in his wing, made a final run at an enemy vessel, detonating their reactors in synchronized nuclear cascades. The enemy ship survived but was crippled, its weapons offline, its mobility compromised. The stealth fleet struck again, targeting the damaged enemy vessel and finishing what Realm's sacrifice had started. 4 enemy ships destroyed, 10 remaining. But Council losses were mounting. 114 ships destroyed. Over 40,000 lives lost. The battle continued for hours, both sides refusing to disengage. The enemy had never retreated in recorded history. The Council forces had been trained by humans who considered retreat tantamount to death. When an unstoppable force met an immovable object, the result was carnage. In the other 6 systems, similar battles raged. Council forces deployed identical tactics, forcing the enemy to fight in ways they had never experienced. Some systems fared better than others. The Palvan system lost 70% of defending forces, but destroyed 3 enemy ships. The Corthon system held with minimal losses, superior coordination allowing them to dismantle 2 enemy vessels efficiently, across all 7 battlefields. The same pattern emerged. The enemy was winning in terms of raw destruction, but losing in terms of strategic objectives. They could not occupy the systems they attacked, could not establish positions, could not advance, while Council forces continued fighting with desperate aggression. Marcus watched his tactical display as the Tertian battle reached its critical moment. 10 enemy ships remained functional. 162 Council vessels still combat-capable. Thousands of drones still active. The mathematics suggested continued fighting would result in mutual annihilation. The enemy fleet attempted to retreat. Recognizing the battle had become unprofitable, Their ships began maneuvering toward the system's edge, toward whatever dimensional pathway allowed their faster-than-light travel. "Do not let them leave," Marcus ordered coldly. "If they report our tactics to their main fleet, we lose our advantage. Pursue and destroy." What followed was pursuit combat that stretched across the Tertian system. Council ships, many damaged and operating on backup systems, chased enemy vessels with single-minded determination, not accepting their retreat, not allowing survivors, not showing the mercy that the enemy had never shown to others. It was not honorable. It was not glorious. It was effective. The last enemy ship in the Tertian system died 8 hours after the battle began, torn apart by concentrated fire from ships that should have withdrawn hours ago for repairs. No enemy vessels escaped. No warnings were transmitted. The advanced fleet was completely annihilated. Across all 7 systems, the results were similar. Enemy forces destroyed or disabled. Council casualties were devastating. 141 ships lost. 38,000 lives ended. But the enemy advanced fleet was eliminated. In the Grand Assembly Hall, representatives gathered to hear the battle reports. The chamber fell silent as casualty lists scrolled across displays. Species that had not lost soldiers in millennia now mourned thousands dead. The price of survival was written in names and identification codes. High Chancellor Vorn addressed the assembly, his crystalline form dimmed with grief. "We have achieved victory at terrible cost. The advance enemy fleet is destroyed. Our forces have proven that the unnamed enemy can be defeated." He paused, allowing that truth to sink in. But the main enemy fleet remains. Thousands of ships. They will arrive in approximately 6 months, and they will come knowing nothing of what happened here. Their intelligence is outdated. Their confidence is intact. Marcus stood to speak, his voice carrying across the chamber. "The enemy has fought 17 civilizations. Every one defended their worlds, minimized risks, fought conservatively. We did the opposite. We attacked aggressively, accepted losses, turned our own territory into battlegrounds. We won because we fought in ways they did not expect." "Right," he brought up. Projections showing the approaching main enemy. Fleet, massive, overwhelming, representing millions of years of accumulated military power. The advanced fleet has taught us their weaknesses. We know their shield vulnerability. We know their tactical patterns. We know they can be killed. Marcus looked around the chamber. But knowledge is not enough. We need to ensure the main fleet arrives unprepared. We need to hide what we learned. We need to make them confident in their approach. Counselor Thrain's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "You propose deception on strategic scale. I propose we let them come expecting easy victory," Marcus confirmed. "Let them believe they face the same civilizations that submitted before. Then we show them the truth only when it is too late for adaptation." The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. Fear and desperation drove consensus. The galaxy would prepare for the main enemy fleet with everything learned from the advanced battle, but would do so in secret. Maintaining the appearance of a broken council, barely surviving the initial assault, 6 months of preparation began. Construction facilities worked continuously, replacing lost ships and building new ones. Training programs expanded, incorporating lessons from the 7 battles. Weapons development accelerated, with human engineers finding new ways to exploit the shield vulnerability discovered during combat on Earth. Marcus received a private communication from High Chancellor Vorn, the crystalline being's holographic image showed signs of stress unknown in his species. "I must know," Vorn said quietly. "When the main fleet arrives, can we truly win? Or are we simply delaying the inevitable?" Marcus considered the question seriously. "Honestly, the mathematical probability favors our defeat. They outnumber us significantly. They possess technology we barely understand. They have millions of years of combat experience. Then why continue fighting?" "Because probability is not destiny," Marcus replied. "Humanity has faced extinction threats throughout our history. Statistically, we should have died out dozens of times. Ice ages, plagues, wars, asteroids. Every time the mathematics suggested we would fail. Every time, we survived because we refused to accept the mathematics. He smiled grimly. The enemy has never fought a species like us. They have never encountered opponents who consider impossible odds to be motivational rather than discouraging. Vorn's form flickered with something that might have been hope. You truly believe we can win? I believe we can make them regret attacking us, Marcus corrected. Whether that leads to victory or mutual destruction remains to be seen. But I know this. When the main enemy fleet arrives, they will learn why 7T. In previous civilizations failed. They fought to minimize losses. We fight to maximize damage. That difference might be enough. The 6 months passed in preparation and anxiety. The galaxy transformed into a fortress, every civilization contributing resources and personnel. Species that had never built warships now launched fleets. Worlds that had known only peace now trained soldiers. When the main enemy fleet arrived at the galactic border, they found not scattered defenses, but a unified armada. 5,000 council ships deployed in aggressive formation, supported by 20,000 drones, backed by defense platforms that bristled with hybrid weapons. Designed by humans and built by alien engineers, the enemy fleet paused at the system's edge. Perhaps sensing something different about this encounter. Perhaps recognizing, for the first time in 5 million years, that their prey had evolved into predators. Marcus stood on the Indomitable's bridge, surrounded by his mixed-species crew. Beside him, High Chancellor Vorn appeared as a holographic projection, representing the Unified Council. Open all channels, Marcus ordered. Every frequency. Maximum broadcast. Communication system activated, transmitting across the void between the fleets. For the first time in recorded history, someone spoke directly to the unnamed enemy. Marcus's voice carried absolute certainty. To the fleet before us. For 5 million years, you have come to civilizations and found them willing to talk, willing to negotiate, willing to plead for survival. You destroyed them because they wasted time with words when action was required. He paused, letting silence fill the channel. We talked for 8 months while preparing for this moment. We are finished talking now. The Council Armada surged forward as a single coordinated wave. 5,000 ships and 20,000 drones, species that had never fought together before, now moving in perfect synchronization. Human tactics applied through alien technology, creating a force that combined the best elements of 800 civilizations. The enemy fleet responded with devastating firepower. But the Council forces had learned from the advanced battles. They exploited shield vulnerabilities, employed electronic warfare, used kamikaze drones to absorb fire, while real ships maneuvered for killing positions. The battle that followed lasted 3 days. 3 days of continuous combat that stretched across the entire border region. Ships burning, crews dying, both sides locked in mutual destruction that neither would abandon. The enemy adapted, changing tactics to counter Council strategies. But the Council adapted faster, implementing new approaches every few hours, refusing to fight the same way twice. Humanity's gift to the galaxy, the ability to evolve in real time, to learn from every loss, to turn desperation into innovation. When the battle finally ended, both fleets were shattered. The enemy main fleet was destroyed, but at terrible cost. 3,000 Council ships lost. Nearly 1 million lives ended. Dozens of species suffered casualties that would take generations to recover from. But the threat that had hung over the galaxy for 5 million years was finally eliminated. The unnamed enemy was defeated, not through superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but through adaptability, desperation, and the stubborn human refusal to accept defeat in the Grand Assembly Hall. Now filled with wounded survivors and grieving representatives, High Chancellor Vorn addressed what remained of the Council. We have won at a price that staggers comprehension. We have lost more lives in 3 days than in the previous 10,000 years of Council history. His crystalline form pulsed slowly. But we have proven something that 17 civilizations could not. Unity and adaptation can overcome any threat.
Marcus stood.
his uniform showing signs of the battle he had coordinated from the Indomitable's bridge. We learned that talking has limits, that sometimes action speaks more clearly than words, that the moment we stopped negotiating and started fighting, we became something the enemy could not predict or defeat. Ambassador Realm, wounded but alive, rose from his seat. Humanity taught us to fight, but more importantly, they taught us when to stop talking and start acting. That lesson saved us all. The assembly erupted in affirmative sounds from hundreds of species. A chorus of gratitude and grief mixed together. 1 year after the final battle, the galaxy had changed fundamentally. The Council existed still, but transformed by shared trauma and mutual respect. The hierarchical structure was gone completely, replaced by genuine equality earned through blood and sacrifice. Earth's position in the galactic community was secure, not as junior members or protected species, but as the civilization that stopped talking and taught everyone what comes after words end: action, determination, and the absolute refusal to surrender. Marcus Webb, now officially recognized as the Council's chief strategic coordinator, gave a final address to mark the anniversary of the battles. The galaxy spent 5 million years talking about the enemy while waiting for them to return. Earth spent 2 years talking to the Council while preparing for the moment words would fail. We learned that diplomacy is essential, but survival requires being ready for what comes after diplomacy ends. He looked across the assembled representatives. The enemy is gone, but the lesson remains. When you stop talking, make sure the silence terrifies your enemies more than your words ever could. The galaxy moved forward, rebuilding from losses that would scar entire civilizations for generations. But they moved forward as a unified force, bound by shared sacrifice and mutual respect. And in the deep archives, historians recorded the era with a notation that would be studied for millennia: the moment humanity stopped talking. The Galactic Council realized fear, but they also realized hope. A species capable of such destruction chose instead to protect others. That choice defined the galaxy's future. Human ships patrolled borders alongside alien vessels. Human scientists collaborated on projects impossible before the war. Human tactics were studied in military academies. Across hundreds of worlds, the galaxy learned its lesson well. Never underestimate a species that knows when to stop talking, because what follows their silence is either salvation or annihilation, and which outcome occurs depends entirely on whether they consider you an ally or a threat. The unnamed enemy chose to be a threat. They learned too late what happens when humanity stops talking and starts fighting. The galaxy chose to be an ally. They learned just in time what happens when humanity stops fighting and starts building. Both lessons reshaped galactic civilization forever. One through destruction, one through creation. Both proving the same fundamental truth: the most dangerous moment in any conflict is not when voices rise in anger, but when they fall silent in preparation. Humanity had mastered that moment. The galaxy was forever grateful they chose to use that mastery in defense of others. Rather than conquest of all, Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4.5